Hey guys, welcome back to She Became Me podcast, where we unlock pain, passion, and power. I'm your host, Lentina Rogers. I am glad that you joined us tonight, where we're going to continue our theme for the year, defining moments. You're going to love our guest for tonight as we're going to talk about what's your story. So let me get my co host in so we can get everything started. My first co host is Yalonda J. Brown. Hey,
Hey,
how's it
good.
going?
Very well. How about you?
Doing good. It's raining today, but I'm just, kind of glad that spring is popping in. So I'm feeling good about that because I am so ready for spring.
Yes, me too.
So let's get our second co host in, Ronieka Howell.
Hey,
Hey,
ladies.
Hey,
hey,
How's
Ronieka.
it going?
good, good.
Looking good, ladies. You're looking really good.
So are you? So are you?
Thank
Too,
you.
always.
Thank you.
So how's it been going, Ronieka? Since you did your launch, everything is still going well.
Yeah, it has slowed down just a little bit, and I'm truly grateful because I kind of felt like I was working at the Amazon fulfillment center there for a minute.
Oh man, I bet you appreciated that slowdown, right?
Oh, yes, I did.
That's a
Oh
good.
well. Okay, so Yolanda, you go ahead and introduce our guest for tonight and kind of give our audience a little bit about our guest, and we can get this thing started.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. You all have heard us talk about this phenomenal woman every episode. She is amazing. Mrs. Denola M. Burton. She is the CEO and founder of Enhanced DNA, which stands for Develop, Nurture, Achieve LLC. She is a natural nurturer. We have all benefited from her nurturing, her development, her skill. She brings over 20 years of human resources experience and expertise. And she really lives this out, which I love, which is to challenge everyone to grow and develop wherever they are in their lives or their careers. Through Enhanced DNA, her goal is to enhance your leadership DNA, enhance your communication DNA, and to enhance your performance DNA. She is the author of her memoir, If You Really Knew Me: The Life, the Lessons, and the Legacy, and is a member of the Independent Book Publishing Association. Her experience with mentoring in her corporate role led to the inspiration for an anthology, Mentoring Moments: 14 Remarkable Women Share Breakthroughs to Success. Her newest publication, Enhancing Your Author DNA Step by Step Publishing Guide, provides a step by step guide for publishing and has been released. So, you all are going to hear more about that today. We all have it and contributed to it. And we are just so thankful for this phenomenal example of a woman and mentor to all of us. She also displays longevity in marriage over 20. I don't want to get it wrong. I know it's at least 28 years. I don't know if I have it right, but I'll let her correct me. Keep me honest.
Yes.
Her marriage to Phil, and she has two amazing daughters, Sierra and Danielle. Let's welcome her.
Hey,
Hello, hello,
Denola.
Nola,
hello.
Hey.
Hi. Hi, it's so
See
good to be
you.
here in front instead of behind the scenes because obviously you know that I have been sponsoring this event for a while. So I'm excited to be in the front this time.
Yes.
Yes, we love it when you come out front.
yes.
You have such good information and stuff to share with everybody. So we are really glad that we get a chance to put the spotlight on you.
Yes.
Glad to be here. Glad to be here. Thank you.
So go ahead, Yolanda. Do you want to start off with getting our audience acquainted with Miss Denola Burton?
Sure. So you have I love hearing your story. Obviously, we all know your journey to where you are now. I believe that your display of entrepreneurship and ability to grow a business and truly be authentic to who you are is it's just a great example to all of us. So can you start by, obviously I read your bio, so we're going to get into the books and all of that, but I think I want people to know the heart of who you are and why do you feel you've been so successful?
Well, I don't know if I would say that I am the most successful, but I have really enjoyed the passion of my what I'm going to call my second chapter. So many of you already know that I am a scientist by background, and I transitioned into human resources early in my scientific career. But then I retired early, and as a result of the retirement, decided that I would start my own business. And that business was intended to work with nonprofit agencies because I really felt like human resources services were not as available to nonprofits. And I did provide a lot of workshops and interventions, I would like to say, to nonprofits to help their leaders really grow and help the employees really know how to be successful in their roles. And so that has been the foundation of my business. And I do a lot of workshops in those three areas that Yalonda mentioned: leadership, communication, and performance. I ended up starting the publishing division of my company because I began to write down some of the stories that I would tell in my workshops. And as I would write those down, I said, you know what, this is a book. And that's what led to me writing that first book. But writing that first book was not enjoyable to me. I really enjoyed publishing that book. So that's how I started the publishing company. And it has melded well with what I've already been doing because it's a part of my communication division. And so I've been able to be successful in both of those businesses because I have been able to bring what people need. I really have learned that people have a story to tell from a publishing perspective, and they just really haven't known how to get those books published and get them published with excellence. And so by joining the Independent Book Publishers Association, I have been able to provide that service. And it really is interesting because as we have grown our business and published more books, I've really started focusing now on growing those authors so that they can be more successful. So my success is based off of my clients' success, and I'm just excited to be able to see the fruits of our labors.
That's good.
Okay, that was really good.
Really, really good. Miss Denola, what has been, can you share with us a few of your cup fillers? Like what has filled your cup through working with some of your authors?
You know, many of my authors have doubts. They have limiting beliefs, and they don't necessarily feel like they have what it takes to be a successful author. And I feel like by pouring into them, they're pouring back into me, and that fuels me to want to pour into others. We have received a lot of recognition for the work that we have done. I think that over the past just 3 years, we have published over 40 books. Of those 40 books, just last year in 2021, we had 7 of those books that received national recognitions. And I'm excited to say we just had one receive a national recognition, a bronze medal for the Reviewer's Choice Awards just this past week. So we are continuing to not only show that our authors have stories to tell, they have great stories to tell. And those great stories are being recognized. They are being competitive with other publishing houses, regardless of their size and whether they are self published books or whether they are published by small publishing houses or whether they're published by large publishing houses. So, my pouring into them, and like I said, I like to grow my authors. I don't like them to just publish a book and put it on a shelf or put it on Amazon and it never sells a book. We really want to grow the authors so that they can reap the benefits of their work.
Okay, that's good. What would you say, well, at least one of the greatest challenges that you have to face with new authors? Because I myself, I've only been doing it now for maybe 3 or 4 years. And, I didn't know anything. So what would you say is one of or a few of the greatest challenges when you have to try to develop new authors?
I think that many of our authors get things like you've probably experienced it, writer's block.
Yeah.
Many of our authors, again, they have these limiting beliefs about their abilities. But I think the biggest roadblock is just their lack of knowledge of the publishing process, the lack of the knowing the things that it takes in order to be a successful author. And so one of the things that I've been focusing on recently are these 5 steps to being a successful author. And if you follow the 5 steps, you will be successful. Now, does it take work? Absolutely. It's going to take some work. And just very briefly, I'll tell you what those 5 steps are. Okay, first, you have to really know what your authority area is. And you may say, well, I don't have an authority. Well, yeah, you do. Even if your book is a memoir, you know the most about you of anybody. So that's your subject matter expertise. That's what you are an authority in. The second one is understanding your author DNA. What are your goals as an author? The third one is having a blueprint, really understanding the process you're going to use to write your book and get your book published. The fourth one is understanding your target audience. And then the fifth one is staying connected with other like-minded people, other experts in your field. Now, I went over those very quickly, but I'm excited to say that we have some in-depth workshops, masterminds, if you want to call it, that's a part of our new Enhanced DNA Publishing Academy. And that's where we'll be helping our authors grow and learn all the details of each of those steps so that they can be a successful author, and they determine what their level of success might be, whether it is being a #1 bestseller on Amazon, whether it's submitting your books to national recognitions, or whether it is getting grandma's cookbook published and distributing it at the family reunion next year. Whatever your goals are, if you go through these 5 steps, you can become successful at that.
That is so good. That's rich. And I think I can think back to my first experience, of becoming an author. I think we all can, and just, you are a standout. You are unique in what you do. I just don't, I'm sorry. I'm biased, but I just don't believe that I do believe that you are destined to have one of the best publishing entities in the country, in the world. So
Why, thank you.
speak
Thank
to that
you.
now. So yeah, I'm going to just encourage everyone to get the publishing guide, and I know all that information is scrolling on the screen as to how to find your products. I want to ask, because the other thing that as an entrepreneur, as a mother, as a wife, as a professional, as someone who is engaged in the community, and the question comes up all the time. It's always in the back of someone's mind. How do I achieve work-life balance? And I was in a conversation this week, and I changed the B to work-life boundaries instead of life balance.
Yeah.
And how do you establish those boundaries to maintain? And I wanted to ask, did I get the number right? I said 28 years in marriage. Is it more? Is that right? Okay.
It'll be 29 in May.
Okay.
And we are already planning for a big 30
Oh,
year celebration for 2023.
Okay.
love it. How do you do it? How do you establish boundaries?
First of all, I do have a very supportive family. My children are what you might not call children anymore. One is a senior in high school and one is in college, but they are very understanding. They realize that what I'm doing now is not just a hobby, it is a business. And as I work my business, they are really supportive of what I'm doing. So that's the first thing. And then, of course, my husband has been supportive. He has a very big job himself. And so as he is doing his thing, he realized that I have responsibilities as well. But I'm a pretty organized person. And so when I think about the two aspects of my business, many of you don't know that I am very active with the HR consulting side of my business. I spend probably 30 to 40% of my time on that side of my business, where I am doing what I call speaking, training, coaching type activities outside of the publishing arena. And so as I do that, I have to be organized. I have to be able to plan in advance. And I have all kinds of different calendars. I have all kinds of different tools that I use. Even in my senior years, I am learning a lot of different IT type tools to help balance out what I'm doing. And I think because of that, it does allow me the ability to not only plan and be successful, it goes back to that blueprint I talked about, but it helps me to focus on my family as well. And so even though I have this business, I spend a lot of time with my family, in our family life, and I think I'm able to balance it well, and they don't complain about the amount of time that I spend with my business. So I think I'm doing it well.
Yes.
That's good.
I wanted to piggyback off of something you said, Denola, about hobbies. I often hear people, and sometimes people have referred it to me as well. I just wanted to point out that there's nothing wrong with having hobbies. Hobbies don't pay you, but they do fulfill your passions. When people select a hobby, and passions are priceless. When you can find a way to fulfill your passion, it's not about money, although money is important, but fulfilling your passions to me is priceless. So I just kind of wanted to say that, because people often say, you have a hobby. Yeah, it may be my hobby, but my hobbies sometimes are priceless. Because people got these Harley Davidsons that's very expensive, and they got a lot of expensive hobbies, and nobody complain about those, right? So whatever, I just
right.
wanted to say, whatever your hobbies are, they are just as important as something that's being paid. Of course, money's important. I'm not saying that, but I just wanted to point that out. It's okay
And
not to
Tina,
be ashamed.
you say that in fact, when I started my business,
Hmm.
when I retired, and so when I
Hmm.
retired, I really didn't have to work.
Right,
And so when I started my business, it really was all about the ability to help others. So
right,
that in essence may have really been a hobby.
Mhm.
Yes, I
right,
was getting paid, but it wasn't like I was getting paid what I was getting paid at work.
right.
And
Exactly.
so I started this business as a hobby, kind of
Right,
what they might call a vanity business,
Mm.
one that might allow me to have some spending money.
right.
That was my initial intent.
Hmm.
Many of us start hobbies that turn
Right,
into a
right,
business because
right,
we know how to work that business. So
right.
there's nothing wrong with, in fact, it's really funny. I'll tell you this really quickly.
Uh,
The first year after I started my business, my tax person said, "Now, is this a hobby or is this a business?" Because generally, the first year or two, maybe three, four, or five, you
yeah,
aren't making money.
right,
Yeah.
And so it very well may be, but if it's your passion,
right.
then you have the ability to create something
Hmm.
that can become more
Yeah,
than just a hobby.
Yeah.
right.
So, Miss Denola, what are some things that you enjoy doing when you're not like working, consulting in HR or publishing? What are some things that you love to do in your you time?
Believe it or not, I like to read.
We believe
um,
it.
but you know what? You will never believe the type of books I like to read unless you've heard me say it before.
Mm.
I don't get into a lot of the, you know, I'm not going to knock anybody's books, self-help, um, learning, knowledge, leadership. I don't.
Yeah,
That's not my enjoyment.
Mhm.
right.
I like to read historical romance,
Mm.
mail order bride, 1800s romance
Yeah,
novels.
yeah.
Well,
And I just love them. And now that there is the ability to read ebooks, I probably have 20 of them ready for me to read.
Okay.
And it's interesting because they're my take me away. It's as if I can imagine myself back in the 1880s, 1890s, 19 almost 1900 era, where times were so very different and yet you can still find love.
Yes,
Wow. I
yes.
love it.
So that's my take me away Calgon moment. But I like to I'm a person that I do try to focus on self, and so I do like to relax, and I may do that. I don't do as much as I used to, but I like to garden outside. But I
Mhm.
do have a hot tub in the back, and I do like to relax there every once in a while.
Nice.
Look, don't we know it?
Don't we know it? Yes, ma'am. It's a nice place to be. Yeah.
Oh
nice.
man. Oh, also, this is your birthday month.
Yes, just had a birthday and uh on the 28th yesterday. So yes, I had an amazing birthday and is I will tell you this though. This week I got mail from Medicare and it said it's time to start thinking about Medicare and I'm like, yeah, I guess it is. When you turn 64, they're getting you ready for the 65th birthday. So, but I am ready for the next chapter. My youngest daughter tells me all the time, I don't look a day over 40. So I will claim that. And I do
I
try
agree.
to take care of myself so that I will have lots more years to celebrate those
Look,
birthdays.
I agree. You definitely don't look like you about to be 65. That's for sure.
Ah, thank you. Yeah. Well, this one's 64. Next one will be 65. So,
Oh,
so
okay,
in
that's
my
right.
in my 30th,
Let's get
yeah,
it right.
in my 30th year anniversary for my wedding, it will also be my 65th birthday
Okay.
year. So
Yes.
that's why we're planning a big celebration. Now,
Okay.
here's the thing, though. My whole family wants to go on my celebration. Okay, too.
Oh man. Well, ladies, I think we've come to the time where we're gonna do she-mail.
Okay.
And let's get some questions here that we have had viewers sent in. Let's see what we can pull out the box and see what we can give our little advice on. And Yalonda, go ahead and shoot out that little disclaimer, you know.
Yes, we are not practitioners as it relates to psychologist. Tina is a certified behavioral specialist, and we give our opinions, and they are just that. And so we just want you all to hear from our hearts and our perspectives.
Okay, so let's start with okay, so here's a good one. I am an entrepreneur, and some days I feel like giving up. How do you stay motivated to keep going in spite of challenges that may come in business? I am an entrepreneur, and some days I feel like giving up. How do you stay motivated to keep going in spite of challenges that may come in business? So that's a
I'll
good
start
one.
that one. I'll start
Okay.
it.
Okay.
So I have had that feeling before. I think
Mhm.
all of us probably experience a time when we say, is this really worth it? And I can really say that because again, I'm retired. I don't have to work.
Right.
But I surround myself with positive, successful other entrepreneurs. And we keep each other motivated.
Yeah.
And so, yes, when there are times when I feel discouraged, or if I'm wondering, is this worth it? Do I really want to work this hard?
Yeah.
I surround myself with people like you, young ladies. And we lift each other up. I have what I would call an amazing foundation of womenpreneurs, sisterpreneurs, entrepreneurs that we grow off of each other. So I'm just grateful that I do have that. And if you don't have that, get that to help you when the times get bleak.
Yeah.
I love it. For me, I also agree with what Ms. Denola just shared, but also just remembering my why. Because a lot of times when we feel that little nudge of like burnout or,
Mhm.
not having a good week or whatever the case may be, I always just kind of to calm myself down. I sit down and I write out why I do what I do, and how it's helping other people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that just reminds me of why I am doing what I'm doing. It's not just for me, but everything that I offer is to help someone else.
Yes. That's good.
Excellent.
That's good. I don't know if I have a whole lot to add. It is a very, I think you really have to tap into uh, what it is that drives you. And yes, it's connecting to your why, but it really, I believe in having honest conversations, with yourself
Mhm.
to say, are you, number one, you've heard it. It's a theme of what we've been talking about. What are your goals? What are your goals, and what exactly are you giving up? What are you giving up? What are you willing to give, and what are you giving up if if it doesn't work out, or what makes sense, so to speak.
Yeah.
You know, if your goal is purely monetary and it's draining you financially, or you don't have or you tapping into all the resources that are available to you as an entrepreneur, and that only comes from being willing to put yourself out there and being open and nimble and willing to learn. And I think sometimes it, you know, I'm never gonna say, when you say give up, you really have to understand, have you done all that you can do? Is giving up really giving up, I guess, to
Right.
because there are people that just get tired, just don't want to do
Yeah.
it anymore. And
Yeah.
then that is okay. There are businesses that end all the time, or people shift gears, or I just think you have to really have an understanding of what those things are.
Yeah. Well, I agree with everything you guys said. Personally, I can speak for myself. Nobody will feel passionate 365 days, right?
Right.
So there will be times you may not feel well, physically, emotionally, mentally, because, life happens, things happen, right?
Yeah.
So, like Denola said, you definitely want to have a circle of people that can carry you when you're not able to walk, so to speak. That has happened for me. Many times you guys have definitely, I've dropped the ball sometimes on a lot of things. And I can definitely say that you guys pick the ball up and say, hey, Tina, did you do this? Did you do that? I'm like, oh, shoot, I didn't. And one of you guys will definitely say, I got you. Don't worry about it. I got you. Because y'all know I'm always running around all over the place. So, you got to have people that's going to, push you on those days that you don't feel like moving. So like you said, that's number one. And like Ronieka said, hopefully you're doing it for yourself, because everything that I do is for me. And I hope somebody can get something out of it. Because if you're looking at somebody else's video and you just decide you want to copy or duplicate or imitate somebody else's purpose, and it's not really for you, so you're going to have more days of wanting to give up than days of nobody can make you be successful when you're trying to be in a video. It's not for you. So that's, again, like Yalonda said, you got to make sure you're doing the thing that's for you. Because, ask yourself some hard questions. Am I just looking at somebody else and enjoying what they're doing and just thinking, hey, I could do that? Well, you may not have the gift, skills, and talents to do that, and it just may not be your thing. But if you look into the thing that's for you, eventually you'll find the drive and the people will come to help push you. So that's what I would say, on that question. So let's see. Let's get another one here. We got a little time. Okay. Where have you encountered bias? Where have you encountered bias, and how did you handle it? Okay.
I have a good story on that one.
Okay.
It wasn't in my business life, but
Okay.
so if you think about bias is what we used to call prejudice.
Right.
Okay.
They got a cute word now.
They got a cute word now. My first day of high school, I walked into my first class, and it was an English class, honors English class. And as I was getting ready to walk in, the teacher was standing at the door, and she said, she was welcoming everybody. And she says, are you in the right class? And I said, well, yeah, this is English, honors English, right? She said, well, yeah. She said, but I think you must have, let me see your schedule. It must be wrong. Oh. And I said, well, no, I'm in honors English. All my classes are honors classes. And she said, well, I've never had a Black person in my honors class before.
Oh, wow.
And, I understand that she had never had a Black person in her honors class, because when I graduated from that high school, there were only 10 of us in my class of 700. So I understand that.
Right.
But here's the clincher. She was Black.
Oh.
Wow.
Mm,
So my learning there for everyone is that people that look just like you or are biased about things don't have to be different from you,
Right.
whether it is ageism, sexism, or ethnicity. It doesn't matter. People can be biased and they can look just like you or be just like you.
Yeah.
It's all about the experiences that they've had in the past. It's what they know. It's all they know. And it's up to us to educate them. So what did I do? I
Yeah.
said, yes, this may be the first time, but I belong here
Yes.
and I'm going to sit in the front row.
Mm.
And that's what I did
wow.
Oh, good for you at that age.
at that age. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, ladies, what you got?
Well, well, as you guys know, I've worked in the spa industry for a
Yeah.
long time. And I used to have one of my locations was it was in the Carmel area.
Mhm.
Well, if you go to like the my websites, you can't tell like what culture I
Yeah.
am or
Right.
whatever.
Right.
And that's intentional. So there was a client scheduled through the online booking system that we have. And she came in and she came to me a few times. And I had an assistant that was there, and she wasn't a Black girl. And she, so one day the lady scheduled with her. Now, all this time she didn't, because I never would ever like display that I was the owner. I was online as a technician, just as my employees were.
Yeah.
And so one day when I was not there and she booked with the other young lady, which was my assistant, she made it clear that she wanted to continue to book with her. And she was just like, oh, well, I'm just filling in for her. And she was just like, well, yeah. So I had a Black and a white card. And they were both full of colors. It was the same exact card, but one was white and one was Black. And so the client slid her, because she asked her why, and she slid her the white card. And she wanted to come to her because she was white. And so so that made my assistant very, very uncomfortable. Long story short, I ended up dismissing that client, and I ended up telling her that it was like that we did everything that we could for her at my establishment, and I wished her well on her wellness and her nail journey, because she came in there and she made one of my coworkers feel very, very uncomfortable. They were the same race, but what she did and how she did it, it was so distasteful that she just really made my teammate feel very uncomfortable. And that's not what we represent. And we will not accept that either.
Right.
And so she really got really upset and was just like, oh, I'm going to tell everybody, I'm going to write bad reviews about your business and all that. And I was just like, yeah. And I have an attorney that will handle things like that. So so that was one experience that I've had just in that industry that I work in.
Yeah, that was good. So that happens.
Wow. Um, let's see. I'm trying to think. I mean, I've had several experiences. What comes to mind right now? First, I want to say that we all have biases,
Yes.
in some shape, form, or fashion. So, I always challenge someone that asks a question like that. You know, we've all encountered it, and we all have them as
Yeah.
well. And so I challenge everyone to just educate themselves
Right.
about, go online, Google the various, implicit and explicit bias assessments that there are. But one thing that stood out in seeing that is I was in the midst of these past few years, really since George Floyd, we know that we've all been challenged in the various spaces that we're in. And I was on a virtual conversation around race relations and race reconciliation in in a spiritual, it was a spiritual setting, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And a gentleman asked me, do I, he implied, and I wish I could, I was trying really hard to think of the exact question that he asked, but the question related to me, how do I handle my Black peers who believe, do they look at me differently because I'm so articulate?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm articulate, I'm, this, that, and the other. And so it struck a chord with me because that has been my experience, that even in a corporate setting, when I was the only, Black female on a all white male executive team, or, in just different settings. And yeah, I can relate to the story of Denola's high school story, when at that time they called them X classes or the honors classes at that time, where I was, sometimes the only or one of two or three.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that there are certain people that just somehow believe that women, I'm just going to stick to women of color, but people of color in general, that if you're articulate and you can put a few sentences together, that you're somehow different than other Black people, and based on their biases and experiences.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so over this past 2 years, and I'm only saying these 2 years because before these past 2 years, I didn't challenge people in my life like I should have.
Mm-hmm.
And so to answer how did I handle it and how I handle it now are different, because back in those times, I managed it. It was my life, and I didn't challenge anyone on it. I just lived and did what I knew to do, and so now I challenge people. I call people out on their stuff, on their microaggressions and their ignorance, and so the comment like that. And I was able to challenge that gentleman and say, I'm offended by that. I'm offended for saying
for you,
because I'm not different, and I'm not the only articulate Black person. I may be the only one that's in your sphere of influence, but I'm not the only one. There are many, many of us that are smart and bright and accomplished and able to do things. And so, and I challenged him to educate himself, and I challenge everyone to do so.
Good. That's good.
Yes.
Really good.
Yes. Well, I'm gonna piggyback real quick off of what you said, Yalonda. One of the things I've noticed about people will judge you in those areas, but sometimes they miss out on the best thing in their life, someone that can contribute to their life, because you don't like the way they speak or how they put sentences together. So a lot of people that a few people that come to mind when I think about that is like TD Jakes. He has a list, and he talks funny. He could have let that stop him from being one of the most successful, pastors or ministers, in the world. But he got past that barrier. So, people will miss out on the message, because if you're too busy judging somebody, you're going to miss the message that's coming out their mouth. So I just wanted to piggyback on that. So real quick for me, like you said, Yalonda, people are biased in a lot of ways. It's just basically a subconscious thought, probably your environment, your experiences, and you just think it's okay. And a lot of times people don't even realize it. And it's not always about race. It's just kind of about favor of something, right? So I think one of the things that have stuck with me over the years, I remember probably in about 7th grade, because I am what people could sometimes call an overachiever, because I like to do everything that I can do. And I feel like I got a lot of gift, skills, and talents. I like to use them all. So, in the 7th grade, I did basketball, volleyball, cheerleading, I ran track. And so the school had a play. And one of my teachers, I wanted to go out for the main part, in the 7th grade. So I had a teacher that actually pulled me to the side and said, could you not try out for the main part of the play? Because you do so many things. Could you give somebody else a chance?
Wow.
You know, to, do something. Maybe somebody's not doing anything in the school. Because if you try it, I'm pretty sure you'll get it.
Mm.
So to me, I feel like you was like, why would you ask me not to be all I could be? Why would you ask me not? Why would you ask me to minimize myself and not do all the things that I'm able to do?
Right.
So I just thought and that stuck with me, for a long time. And I try to make sure that subconsciously, I think she thinks she was doing something good for other children,
Other people.
but on the flip side, you was damaging me. So
Yeah.
I just wanted to just kind of share that. Sometimes it's a whole nother spin on it. When people see stuff differently.
Right.
Okay, guys. I think we got time for one more. We can get in really quick. Let me read this one. I have social anxiety and struggle with networking. How do I overcome this? I have social anxiety and struggle with networking. How do I overcome this? So, what you guys got, some suggestions? Something we can throw out here real quick?
Well, I don't know if you have to overcome it. Maybe for me, it is managing it, especially in this day and age when so many things are being done virtually. You have the ability to network differently. I know that as much as I am an extrovert, I can be an introvert, especially in situations when I don't know other people. And so my whole thing with that is always take a buddy with me so that I'm able to network with that person, if nobody else. And so, there may be ways to cope, which for me, it's bringing somebody else with me that I know I will know someone there and I don't have to feel like a wallflower. And because I'm with someone else, we can either together network or we can draw other people to come and network with us. So it's not by myself, but I think that networking, it really depends, I think, on what you want to get out of networking as well. So determine what it is you want to get out of it. And then if you really feel like it's something that you need to do, then maybe one of the ways you can do that is by taking a buddy.
I love that. I love that. I was going to say, I was just going to say practice with your peeps. So like, there's been times when, cause I deal with that a lot. And so, I just practice with my people. I may run something past one of my girlfriends who's also in business. Like, so when I get out, before the other people and I'm networking with other people, it's just I just test run like what I want to say and how I want to say it. And that has helped me a lot. I've even had my children. I've done practice runs with my children, just doing my little elevator pitches to them. And that has helped me just do it, like keep it short and simple, yet sweet.
Right.
Good. I just say take baby steps because I am an introvert.
Really?
I am. It is, people don't believe that, but I really am. It is not natural to me to just go into a room and start talking to people. And so, but when I realized because of what I do, that I needed to be more, to do better. And so I just started no more handshakes in the midst of COVID too much, but I started back at that time. I started at least going to spaces and making it a point to introduce myself to at least one person. Even now pretty much I would have to catch eyes with that person because it was still very uncomfortable for me. But if I caught a friendly face, and I also practiced smiling more. and going into spaces where I would appear approachable, even if I didn't have to make the first move.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it makes it easier if someone comes up to you first.
Yes.
And, and practice just saying hello and introducing yourself. And I teach that to young people too, the ability to say their name and speak confidently in an introduction. And so, but being approachable was a big part of it for me, where even if I wasn't comfortable initiating, a smile goes a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because people feel that you're welcoming of it. And so
Right.
just prepare for that if you're not comfortable with initiating conversation.
Right.
Good,
Oh,
good, good.
you know what? Those were all good, ladies. Very good, very different. And I hope somebody can definitely use those. Because for me, I'm the opposite. It is natural for me to be talking Tina. So I can definitely go in a room. I can definitely go somewhere. I don't have to know anybody. I actually when I went to high school, I went outside of my district and took a magnet program, and I absolutely didn't know anybody.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I think it's just a natural thing for me.
Mhm.
I just walk in the room. I don't care. I just, I will walk up to people and say whatever I want to say. I mean, what can they do? I think my grandmother used to always use the term, they can't eat you.
They can't eat you.
What
They
can
can't
they
eat
do?
you. There you go.
And
There you go.
I just, just feel like, I think the base is that I have a certain level of confidence that I don't have anxiety about it because I just feel like whatever they say, I think I just have the ability to bounce back. No matter what anybody say, I can bounce back. So I think that's what helps me. And I realize everybody may not have that quick ability to bounce back. So that might create some anxiety. So I think you guys gave really good tips for somebody that is struggling with, what am I going to say? How I'm going to say it. The other thing I would say to people is quit worrying about what you're going to say and how you're going to say it, because people need to listen to the message and quit being judgmental. So that way people be more comfortable just, coming to people and being approachable or not. So, well, all right, ladies, let's wrap it up.
Yes.
What we going to wrap it up with?
Well, I would just like to encourage our guests that if you would like for us to talk about your question, please email that in to shebecameme2020@gmail.com.
Okay.
Wonderful. And since our sponsor is here, Denola Burton, Enhanced DNA Publishing. Denola, will you close us out with how our viewers can get in touch with you?
Absolutely. Everybody has a website these days, and mine is going to be easy to find. And so it is all about enhancedDNApublishing.com. All of the amazing authors that we have published are on that website. Their books are out there. If you haven't been out to our website lately, then go out there, because there are a lot of new books out there. There are a lot of award-winning books out there, so you really want to see them. If you are an aspiring author, if you have a story to tell, and you just don't know where to go, please contact us. We do have a free 30-minute author consultation that we will be glad to help you get on the right path, whether you are going to self-publish your book or whether you want to use a publisher, and it doesn't have to be us. Just get on the right path. I am passionate about having professionally published books out there. They don't have to be done by me. I want them to be professionally done. And so please visit our website. You can look at all the tools that we have available. And one especially that I do want to recommend, though, is the new book that we have published in January this year, Enhancing Your Author DNA, Step-by-Step Publishing Guide. And this book is, it was a #1 Amazon bestseller. I'm really excited about that because there are a lot of people who want to publish. They just don't know how. And so this will give you those steps. If you decide to self-publish, you really need this guide. And if you are going to use a publisher, you still need it because you'll know what questions to ask. So I'm just thankful today for you guys allowing me to be here and share my story. But what's your story?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
So thank you, Denola, for all that you do and for coming on and sharing your story with us. And so to my audience, we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.